That yard looks completely neglected. I called the police already. Chemo made my hands numb. I cannot hold the mower.
She is fighting cancer and you still yelled?
Cancer does not clean a yard.
No, but compassion could have knocked first.
A home can look abandoned from the street, but that does not mean the person inside has given up. Sometimes they are still there, still trying, just no longer strong enough to keep the outside looking like the life they are fighting to hold on to. The police officer stepped out while I was still kneeling beside the row of stones near Mrs. Nora's porch. Half the yard was cleared, but enough weeds remained for the neighbor to point at them like proof. She told the officer Nora had ignored the yard for weeks and made the whole street look abandoned. The officer looked serious at first. Then he saw Nora standing behind her walker, a soft scarf covering her thin hair, both hands trembling on the metal handles. The dented lunchbox sat beside her feet, like it had been waiting there for someone to understand it. I explained that Nora was going through cancer treatment, that chemo had made her hands numb, and that her money was going to medicine and hospital rides. The neighbor said none of that changed the rules. Nora looked at the stones and whispered that Paul would have been embarrassed to see the yard like this. That was when I went back to clearing by hand. I pulled away the wet leaves and weeds one handful at a time, careful not to scrape the painted letters. The first stone said, Year 1, still here. The second said, Year 10, still choosing you. The third said, Year 20, still home. Nora covered her mouth and her knees nearly gave out. She said Paul painted one stone every anniversary and placed it near the porch after he finished mowing. Then I found one more stone, buried deeper than the rest, right beside the lunchbox. It said, If I go first, keep walking to the door. Nora started crying so hard that I had to help her sit down. She said after Paul died, she carried that lunchbox outside every morning because it made the porch feel less empty. She said some days she talked to it like Paul was still coming home from work, still wiping sweat from his forehead, still asking if she wanted tea before sunset. The officer stopped writing. He looked from the stones to the old woman and then to the neighbor. He said this was not someone refusing responsibility. This was a woman trying to stay in the home her husband built a life around, while her own body was fighting to survive. He told Nora there would be no citation that day. Then, he helped me carry bags of weeds to the curb. I finished cutting the grass, trimmed the mailbox, cleared the porch steps, and opened the anniversary stones so Nora could see them from the front door. A neighbor brought water. Another offered to drive her to treatment. Someone else said they could mow the front strip twice a month. By sunset, the house no longer looked abandoned. The lunchbox was back beside the porch chair, and the stones made a clear path through the grass. Nora touched the last one with numb fingers and whispered that maybe Paul had still been helping her